Have you ever felt proud of yourself for eating healthier, more vegetables, more smoothies, fewer processed foods, yet deep down something still feels off? You wake up tired for no clear reason, your ankles feel heavier than they should, and no matter how clean you eat, your energy just doesn't come back the way it used to. Most people tell themselves it's just aging, but what if that quiet discomfort is something far more serious? Something your body's trying to warn you about before it's too late. Here's the frightening truth most people never hear. Your kidneys can lose up to 90% of their function before you feel a single clear symptom. No pain, no alarm, no obvious warning. By the time blood tests finally raise a red flag, the damage is often advanced and sometimes irreversible. And what makes this even more disturbing is that millions of Americans are unknowingly accelerating that damage every single day, not with fast food or soda, but with foods they believe are protecting their health. Vegetables, smoothies, detox bowls. Foods praised as superfoods may be silently flooding weakened kidneys with minerals and compounds they can no longer handle. And the scariest part, you won't feel it happening until your heart rhythm changes, your labs worsen, or a doctor suddenly mentions words you never expected to hear. My name is Dr. Mark Ellis, and in this video, I'm going to show you the hidden truth about certain everyday vegetables that quietly sabotage kidney health and the specific foods that can actually protect and support your kidneys instead. By the end, you'll know exactly what to remove from your plate, what to replace it with, and how a few smarter choices could mean the difference between silent decline and long-term protection. So before you reach for your next healthy meal, stay with me because what you're about to learn could quite literally save your kidneys and your future. Let's start with something so familiar that almost no one questions it: tomatoes. Fresh, bright, and often praised as heart healthy, they seem harmless. But the danger doesn't come from a slice of tomato on your salad. It comes from what we turn tomatoes into. When tomatoes are concentrated into sauces, pastes, juices, and ketchups, their mineral load becomes dramatically stronger, and for weakened kidneys, that concentration can quietly become a serious threat. I want to tell you about Robert, a 59-year-old retiree who believed he was eating cleaner than ever. Every Sunday, he cooked a large pot of homemade tomato sauce, no preservatives, no added sugar, just tomatoes and olive oil. He felt proud of it. But within weeks, he noticed something strange: constant fatigue, lightheadedness, and a subtle tightness in his chest that came and went. When his doctor checked his labs, Robert's potassium levels were dangerously high, and his heart rhythm was already beginning to change. Here's the science most people never hear. A single cup of unsalted tomato sauce can contain close to 1,000 milligrams of potassium, nearly half the daily limit for someone with reduced kidney function. Tomato paste is even worse, often 5 to 10 times more concentrated than fresh tomatoes. When kidneys slow down, they can't clear excess potassium efficiently, and that buildup interferes with the heart's electrical system. It doesn't start with pain. It starts with quiet symptoms, weakness, dizziness, and irregular heartbeat until suddenly it becomes an emergency. The solution isn't to fear tomatoes forever. It's to respect their form and concentration. Fresh tomatoes in small portions are usually safe, but sauces and pastes should be treated like a seasoning, not a base. 2 tablespoons instead of a ladle. More herbs for flavor, less concentrated sauce. When Robert made that one change, his potassium levels stabilized, his energy returned, and his heart rhythm normalized. Small adjustments can make a life-changing difference if you know where the real danger hides. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because tomato products are only the first trap. There's another food served at family dinners and holiday tables across America that can overload your kidneys even faster, and most people think it's completely safe. Stay with me, because what comes next shocks even careful eaters and catches people off guard when they least expect it. If concentrated tomato products are the quiet warning sign, then the next food is the comfort trap almost everyone falls into: potatoes. Mashed, baked, roasted, or fried potatoes feel safe. They're warm, familiar, and deeply tied to family meals and tradition. That's exactly why they're so dangerous for weakened kidneys. No one suspects the food that sits at the center of the plate. I remember Linda, a 64-year-old grandmother who truly believed she was doing everything right. She cut sugar, avoided processed foods, and filled her plate with what she thought were healthy sides. One holiday weekend, she enjoyed baked potatoes one night, mashed potatoes the next, and sweet potato casserole the day after. By the following morning, she felt shaky, weak, and strangely short of breath. At the emergency room, doctors discovered her potassium levels were dangerously high and her heart rhythm had become unstable. Here's what most people never realize. One medium baked potato can contain close to 1,000 milligrams of potassium. Sweet potatoes can be even higher sometimes, exceeding 200 milligrams per cup when mashed. For someone with slowing kidney function, that single serving can push potassium beyond safe limits in one meal. When potassium builds up faster than the kidneys can remove it, it disrupts the electrical signals that control the heartbeat. At first it feels like fatigue or heaviness. Then suddenly it becomes a cardiac risk. The answer isn't to panic, it's to be strategic. Potatoes can be made safer through leaching, peeling, cutting them into small pieces, soaking them in water for several hours, and boiling them in fresh water. This process can remove up to 70% of the potassium. Even then, portion size matters. Think a quarter cup, not a full plate. When Linda learned this, she didn't give up her favorite foods, she learned how to stop them from hurting her. But knowing this still isn't enough because there's another so-called performance food that overwhelms the kidneys even faster, especially when it's blended or juiced and almost no one sees it coming. If potatoes are the comfort food that quietly overloads the kidneys, then this next one is even more deceptive because it hides behind the image of peak fitness and clean living. Beets. Bright red, vibrant, and praised everywhere for boosting circulation, endurance, and blood pressure. You see them in detox smoothies, pre-workout drinks, and health blogs promising more energy and better performance. But what's good for blood flow can be devastating for stressed kidneys. I want you to hear David's story. David was a 48-year-old fitness enthusiast who thought beet juice was his secret advantage. Every morning before the gym, he drank a large glass of fresh beet juice, believing he was supporting his heart and stamina. For the first few weeks, he felt incredible, stronger workouts, faster recovery, more energy. Then the warning signs appeared: dull, lower back pain, unusual fatigue, and cloudy urine. When tests came back, his kidneys were inflamed and struggling. A scan revealed oxalate crystals clogging his filtration system. The diagnosis was acute oxalate nephropathy, kidney injury triggered by excessive beet intake. Here's the science that makes this so dangerous. One glass of beet juice can contain 450 to 600 milligrams of potassium, and beet powders or concentrates can push that number even higher. But potassium isn't the biggest threat. Beets are extremely high in oxalates, up to 150 milligrams per 100 grams. When oxalates bind with calcium in the body, they form sharp crystal-like structures that lodge inside the kidneys, irritating tissue and blocking filtration. Juicing concentrates those compounds into a single dose your kidneys simply can't handle. The solution isn't fear, it's moderation and form. Small amounts of whole beets eaten occasionally and paired with calcium-rich foods may be tolerated by some people. But beet juice powders and detox shots are a hard no for anyone with kidney concerns. David stopped immediately, and it took months for his kidneys to recover. But knowing this still isn't enough because there's another plant that looks harmless, even sweet yet, can shut down kidney function with frightening speed, and almost no one realizes how dangerous it truly is. If beets can injure the kidneys slowly, then the next plant on this list can strike with terrifying speed. It looks innocent, it tastes tart and slightly sweet, and most people only see it as a seasonal treat. Rhubarb. This is one of the most dangerous foods you can eat if your kidneys are even slightly weakened, and almost no one talks about it. I'll never forget Sarah, a 56-year-old school teacher who loved baking. One spring weekend, she attended several family gatherings in a row, each featuring her homemade rhubarb desserts, pies, jams, crisps. By Monday morning, she was in severe pain, nauseous, and barely able to urinate. At the hospital, doctors discovered her kidney function had collapsed. Microscopic crystals had clogged her nephrons like sand in a water filter. The diagnosis was acute oxalate nephropathy, and Sarah needed emergency treatment to keep her kidneys from shutting down completely. Here's why this happened so fast. Rhubarb is one of the highest oxalate-containing plants in the human diet. Just 1 cup of diced rhubarb can contain over 1,000 milligrams of oxalates, far beyond what vulnerable kidneys can safely process. Once oxalates flood the bloodstream, they bind with calcium and form sharp, needle-like crystals. These crystals scrape and block the kidney's delicate filtration system, triggering sudden inflammation and loss of function. Cooking or baking doesn't destroy oxalates. In fact, it can make them more concentrated per bite. The solution here is simple and non-negotiable. If you have kidney disease, high creatinine, a history of stones, or even early signs of reduced kidney function, rhubarb should be avoided entirely. There is no safe portion. Safer alternatives like berries, apples, or cranberries provide similar tartness without the catastrophic risk. But knowing this still isn't enough, because there's another vegetable praised as a superfood that delivers a double hit to the kidneys at the same time. And many people are eating it daily without realizing the damage it can cause. If rhubarb is a sudden shock to the kidneys, then the next vegetable is far more deceptive because it looks like the definition of clean eating. Swiss chard. Dark green leaves, colorful stems, and a reputation as a nutrient powerhouse. It's praised in plant-based diets, heart-healthy meal plans, and wellness programs everywhere. But for weakened kidneys, Swiss chard doesn't attack from one direction. It hits from two at the same time. Michael's story explains this perfectly. He was a 62-year-old retiree who switched to a plant-forward diet after being warned about cholesterol. Every evening, he sautéed Swiss chard with olive oil and garlic, convinced he was protecting his heart. Within 2 months, his lab results told a different story. His potassium levels were climbing, and an ultrasound revealed his first kidney stone. The vegetable he trusted most was quietly overwhelming his kidneys. Here's the science behind that double hit. 1 cup of cooked Swiss chard contains close to 1,000 milligrams of potassium, similar to a large baked potato. At the same time, it delivers over 100 milligrams of oxalates, compounds that bind with calcium and form crystals inside the kidneys. When potassium rises, the kidneys struggle to regulate heart rhythm. When oxalates rise, crystals begin to scar and block delicate filtration tissue. Together, they force the kidneys to fight on 2 fronts at once: electrolyte balance and crystal clearance. Many people assume cooking makes it safe. While boiling can remove some soluble oxalates, most of the potassium remains. Juicing is even worse, concentrating both compounds into a single glass. The solution isn't to fear leafy greens, it's to rotate them wisely. For kidney health, Swiss chard should be an occasional garnish, not a daily staple. Safer options like cabbage lettuce or small amounts of kale provide nutrients without the overload. Michael made that switch, and within weeks his potassium stabilized and his energy returned. But knowing this still isn't enough, because there's one leafy green even more popular than Swiss chard used in smoothies worldwide that may be the most dangerous of all for stressed kidneys. If Swiss chard is the double threat most people never expect, then this next green is the silent assassin hiding in plain sight. Spinach. It's crowned the king of greens, low-calorie, nutrient-dense, and everywhere from salads to baby food. But for kidneys under pressure, spinach can quietly cause damage over time, especially when it's consumed the way modern wellness trends encourage it. Jennifer's story is a perfect example. She was a 34-year-old yoga instructor who believed in clean living. Every morning she blended a large spinach smoothie, fresh, organic, and packed with what she thought were healing nutrients. For weeks she felt energized. Then the fatigue crept in. Nausea followed. A dull ache settled into her lower back. When she finally got tested, her kidneys were inflamed and packed with oxalate crystals. The diagnosis was acute oxalate nephropathy, triggered by excessive spinach intake. Here's the science that makes spinach so dangerous. Just 100 grams of raw spinach contains roughly 170 milligrams of oxalates, nearly 20 times what sensitive kidneys can safely handle in a day. And no one eats just 100 grams. When spinach is blended into a smoothie, you're drinking 3 to 4 cups at once. That's thousands of milligrams of oxalates flooding the bloodstream in minutes. These compounds bind with calcium, forming sharp crystals that lodge in kidney tubules, scar tissue, and block urine flow. Cooking reduces oxalates slightly, but not enough to make large portions safe. The solution isn't to eliminate greens, it's to stop repeating the same one every day. Rotate instead. Choose lower oxalate options like cabbage lettuce, zucchini, or cucumber. If you love smoothies, think variety, not volume. Once Jennifer removed raw spinach from her routine, her labs normalized and her energy returned. But knowing this still isn't enough because after hearing about all these dangers, many people start to believe every vegetable is a threat, when in reality, some vegetables can actively protect and heal your kidneys if you use them correctly. After hearing about so many vegetables that quietly damage the kidneys, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, almost afraid to eat anything green at all. And this is where many people give up thinking the safest choice is to eat less, not smarter. But this is the turning point of the story because not every vegetable is an enemy. Some are quiet protectors, and one of the most powerful yet overlooked is cauliflower. Margaret's case still stands out to me. She was 67, exhausted, discouraged, and convinced dialysis was inevitable. Her creatinine was creeping up, her mornings started with swollen ankles, and she felt heavier every day. When we looked closely at her meals, one thing stood out night after night of mashed potatoes and high potassium sides. We didn't remove comfort from her plate, we replaced it. Creamy cauliflower mash took the place of potatoes, seasoned with garlic and olive oil. Nothing extreme, nothing complicated. Here's why that change mattered so much. 1 cup of cooked cauliflower contains only about 80 to 90 milligrams of potassium and very low levels of phosphorus and oxalates. That's a fraction of what's found in potatoes or spinach. But cauliflower doesn't just avoid harm. As a cruciferous vegetable, it contains compounds like sulforaphane that help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, 2 major drivers of kidney cell damage. In simple terms, it gives your kidneys a break while quietly helping them recover. Within 6 weeks, Margaret's lab results stabilized. Her swelling decreased, and she told me something I'll never forget. For the first time in years, I wake up feeling lighter. Cauliflower can be roasted, mashed, steamed, or turned into rice. It absorbs flavor without loading your kidneys with hidden stress. But knowing this still isn't enough because there's another vegetable, bright, colorful, and surprisingly powerful, that doesn't just protect your kidneys, it shields your blood vessels too. And that connection may be even more important than you realize. If cauliflower is the quiet comfort that gives your kidneys a break, then the next vegetable brings something many people don't realize: the kidneys desperately need vascular protection. Red bell peppers look simple, even decorative, but for kidney health, they play a much bigger role than most foods on your plate. George's story shows why this matters. He was 61, living with stage 3 kidney disease and stubborn high blood pressure. His meals were heavy on tomato sauces and salty seasonings, and no matter how carefully he ate, his labs refused to improve. When we simplified his plate-swapping sauces for fresh diced red bell peppers, roasted peppers, and pepper-based soups, something unexpected happened. Within weeks, his potassium stabilized and his blood pressure dropped by nearly 10 points. He told me, "I finally feel lighter after eating." Here's the science behind that shift. Red bell peppers are naturally low in potassium and phosphorus, which means your kidneys don't have to fight to filter them. At the same time, they're packed with vitamin C, beta-carotene flavonoids, and lycopene antioxidants that reduce inflammation and protect blood vessels. This matters because kidney disease and vascular damage often rise together. When blood vessels stiffen, the kidneys suffer. Supporting circulation reduces strain on the filtration system itself. 1 cup of chopped red bell pepper provides over 150% of daily vitamin C with only about 250 milligrams of potassium, a rare and powerful balance. The solution is simple and practical. Use red bell peppers to replace high potassium sauces and salty flavor boosters. Slice them raw into salads, roast them for natural sweetness, or blend them into soups for depth without sodium. You're not just adding color, you're reducing oxidative stress and protecting the pathways that keep kidneys alive. But knowing this still isn't enough, because there's one small ingredient hiding in almost every kitchen that doesn't just add flavor, it actively lowers blood pressure and calms the inflammation that quietly destroys kidneys from the inside out. If red bell peppers protect the blood vessels that feed your kidneys, then this next ingredient works even deeper quietly, changing what happens inside your body at the cellular level. Garlic. Small, humble, and often underestimated. For centuries, it's been used as medicine, but modern science now confirms something powerful: garlic can directly reduce the very pressures that slowly destroy kidney function. Patricia's story explains why this matters. She was 60, living with stage 3 kidney disease and blood pressure that refused to come down even with medication. She wasn't eating junk food. She wasn't overeating, But inflammation and vascular tension were silently wearing her kidneys down. We didn't add a supplement. We added garlic. 2 fresh cloves a day crushed and left to sit for 10 minutes before cooking. Within 3 months, her blood pressure dropped from dangerous levels into a safer range, and her inflammation markers improved without changing her prescriptions. Here's the science behind that change. When garlic is crushed, it releases allicin, an organosulfur compound, shown to relax blood vessels, reduce oxidative stress, and calm chronic inflammation. Studies published in major hypertension and nephrology journals show that regular garlic intake can lower systolic blood pressure by 8 to 15 points and reduce inflammatory damage to kidney filtration units called nephrons. Less pressure means less scarring. Less inflammation means slower decline. The solution is simple and powerful. Use garlic as a daily foundation, not an afterthought. Let it replace salt. Add it to soups, vegetables, and sauces where sodium used to dominate. Every time you choose garlic over salt, you reduce fluid retention, protect circulation, and ease the burden on your kidneys without adding potassium or phosphorus. But knowing this still isn't enough, because there's one final vegetable that doesn't just reduce damage, it activates your body's own defense system, and that hidden mechanism may decide whether kidney decline slows or accelerates. If garlic quietly lowers pressure and inflammation, then this final vegetable does something even more profound. It teaches your kidneys how to protect themselves. Cabbage. Pale, inexpensive, and often overlooked cabbage rarely gets attention in modern wellness culture. But for kidney health, it may be one of the most powerful allies hiding in plain sight. I think of Thomas, a 63-year-old man who came to me feeling defeated. His labs showed early kidney decline, persistent inflammation, and constant fatigue. He assumed healing required expensive supplements or extreme diets. Instead, we made one simple change, adding steamed cabbage to his meals just a few times a week. Soups, light stir-fries, nothing dramatic. 3 months later, his inflammation markers dropped, his energy improved, and his kidney function stabilized. He said something that stuck with me. I didn't realize something this simple could matter. Here's why cabbage is different. As a cruciferous vegetable, it contains compounds like sulforaphane that activate a powerful internal pathway called NRF2. Think of NRF2 as your body's built-in defense switch. When it turns on, your cells produce their own antioxidants and detoxifying enzymes, tools that repair damage and neutralize toxins before they injure kidney tissue. Research published in leading nephrology journals shows that sulforaphane-rich foods can reduce oxidative stress and slow kidney function decline in people with early to moderate disease. On top of that, cabbage is naturally low in potassium, phosphorus, and oxalates, making it safe even for stressed kidneys. The solution doesn't require perfection. Raw and slaw, gently steamed or lightly sautéed with garlic cabbage, supports your kidneys without overloading them. It strengthens resilience from the inside out, something no detox drink can promise. But knowing this still isn't enough, because there's one final myth. We need to break the idea that your kidneys need cleansing at all, and understanding this truth may be the single most important factor in whether kidney decline stops or silently continues. Before you go, I want you to take a breath and remember, this nothing you've heard today is meant to scare you. It's meant to protect you. If you've recognized yourself in any of these habits or foods, that doesn't mean you failed your kidneys. It simply means no one ever explained this to you in time. And the fact that you're still here listening tells me you care about your health more than you realize. You don't need perfection to protect your kidneys. You need awareness and consistency. One small change at a time. Swap one risky food for a safer one. Reduce the load instead of chasing detox trends. Pay attention to how your body responds. These quiet decisions, repeated day after day, are what keep people off dialysis and living full active lives. If this video helped you understand your kidneys, better do yourself a favor and save it. Come back to it whenever you need a reminder or feel unsure about your food choices. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because every week I share the latest medical insights, practical nutrition guidance, and real-world strategies to protect kidney health based on science, not hype. Most importantly, don't lose hope. Your kidneys are resilient. When you reduce their burden, they respond. Healing doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and powerful. And it starts with the very next choice you make. Take care of yourself. Your kidneys are listening every single day. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and I'll see you in the next video.